Hello, tubers and tubettes. My name is David. I live in Northern California, and I'm glad you were able to find me. Today, what I wanted to talk about was financing new vehicles. It came up because I came out of my gym the other day, and I took a video of it. I'm going to try to load it on a Cybertruck. And then I had lunch with my cousin, and he was telling me that last year was one of the best years to selling cars. He sells Hondas. And so I think he even got Salesman of the Year at his little dealership that he's at. So I know he's good at doing it. But it's kind of weird because our industry has been struggling, mostly because of the high interest rates and the high cost of pools. But he said, no, it's not a problem at all with cars. But then as I started to talk to him more and more, what I realized is that he's not talking about selling cars. Yes, he is. He thinks he's selling cars, but he's really not selling cars. They're leasing cars. So that's the whole thing. The game point is that they're leasing cars. And the leasing, what that is, I think you could just substitute that word for, sorry, I'm trying to get out in traffic without killing myself. You can substitute that word for renting. Okay, let's just call it renting, okay? Because after 3 years, you don't have anything. You got to turn it back in. And if you go over the mileage that you're allotted, then you're going to pay a per mile cost that's very expensive. So Tesla is very nice, about letting you lease their Cybertrucks. So I went online just to look. How much is a Cybertruck? Well, they did the $79,999. Let's just call it 80, okay? Can we just do this? I mean, we do that in sales all the time. We always try to get down below a certain number, and it does work. That's why we do it. But in cars, it's kind of embarrassing, $79,999. And so let's just call that 80. And then they were saying that they go up to $100,000. You could. That's the value of it. Now that's the value of what it would cost. And they did say on their ad that they don't have financing to actually own one. They do have leasing, but they don't have financing. So, and they will allow you to pay in cash. That's what they said in their little ad thing that they had there. Now, as I was looking it up, I found a 2024 Cybertruck in a town close to us called Manteca. It's a 2024 Cybertruck, and it was listed used, has 10 miles on it, and it was listed for $160,000. It has 10 miles on it, but you can buy that one for $160,000. So the whole shift that I've seen this happening over the last 10 years is to get people to think that they're buying a car, when in fact, when you talk to them, they're actually leasing the car. Now the lease that Tesla offers on it, and I'm not picking on Tesla, I'm just saying that, that I just happened to see that Tesla truck, so it got me kind of interested in it. But what they offer on their leasing, on approved credit, of course, is that you get a 3-year lease, and it will be about it was about a 3-year lease at $1,000 a month, and you have to put $7,500 down. Now, I also think this is kind of funny to do that, to say it's $7,500 down, like you're putting down on a house or a piece of property or something like that. No, that's not down. You're not getting any of that back. Like at the very end, you don't get that down payment back. That's $7,500 is going to prepay interest. The interest that you're going to be paying on this lease, you're prepaying it by paying $7,500. And again, I'm not picking on Tesla because the truck looks awesome. It does look awesome. But if you decide you want to pay for it, I started looking through payment options, just kind of going through the internet. And I found a place where you could pay for it, and the down was a lot lower, but the payment was $1,700 a month for a 72-month loan. But then as I looked at it more, I realized that this is a home equity loan. So what you're doing is you're borrowing the money to use to put as a down and then making the payments on a vehicle that you're borrowing money against your house. You know, that's why it looks good. The one person came up with like a 5.9% interest, and I'm thinking there's no way you can get a 5% interest on a Tesla. No. He was talking about his home equity loan, and the payments would have been around $1,700 a month. So we're fooling ourselves as consumers. You know, the whole leasing of cars. I run into this all the time. I see people, you know, I don't get involved with the financing anymore, but when I did, we would have a lot of people, and this is prior to 2008, a lot of people say, oh yeah, you know, that I own this car, and I own this car, and I own that car. And then when I checked into it, they don't own any of them. They're all on leases. And you know, then they say, well, I lease it because I like to turn it in afterwards. But after you've paid that $1,000 a month and the $7,500 down on the Cybertruck, after 3 years, you might have to pay a little bit more if you went over the mileage that they allow, you know, that you're allowed per year, which it used to be around 12,000 miles. And that's kind of easy to go over. So, I mean, I just think it's kind of like ripping the American consumer off, but it is a way that you can sell a lot of vehicles. Everybody's leasing, and I do like to substitute that word for renting, because it's truly what's happening. And your down payment is not a down payment on anything. Your down payment is you're prepaying interest on the lease. So he was telling me in these Hondas that they're leasing that the average lease is around $750 a month. Now the crazy thing about it is, to net out $750 a month, you're going to be paying taxes on that. So I'm going to say roughly $1,000 to $1,200 that you have to gross to net $750. And then of course you got to carry the highest interest, usually with only a $500 deductible. And they want that because that's not your vehicle, that's their vehicle. You get to pay for them to make sure that that vehicle is going to be returned to them in good condition. And then the other part about not driving it more than 12,000 miles a year, that's what you get as a benefit of being able to lease this vehicle. It's not like you can just lease it and just drive it into the ground. So everything is to protect the financiers of it, you know, that are leasing these things. So in my own case, I did buy a couple of new cars over my lifetime. And one of them was a truck that I bought in Guam, and it was a Toyota truck, and this is back in, I think, 83. And then I did buy some new cars, my wife and I, but we were going through some hard financial times, and we ran in, you know, we were trying to get some vehicles because our vehicles were kind of wore out, and we also felt like, oh, we need to get some vehicles that are reliable. There was nothing wrong with our other vehicles. It's just that I think that we were going down that rabbit hole of financing is fine. You know, it's fine to do it. I don't believe I've ever leased a vehicle, but that is a way that they guide you into it. They'll give you the payment on it, and then it's kind of tricky because they want to try to tell you that, hey, if you buy a vehicle, it's going to drop its value, let's just say 10% as soon as you drive it off the showroom floor. So why don't you just lease the vehicle? It's going to be a lot cheaper to lease it. And then when you're done with it, you know, 3 years, you can come in and you can lease another one. And that's really what my cousin is doing, is he's flipping a lot of people into leasing. He can make it look as if it's not costing you anything extra. The lease doesn't have upfront costs on it, or it might have a little bit, but you can get a brand new one and stay within your leased budget amount. So he has a lot of retired people that like to do that. And that's fine, as long as you know that leasing is nothing more than renting, in my humble opinion. So another alternative to do it, and I've said this before, is what would you do if you did not have any money? Well, I mean, they make it easy for you if you have no money, but you have a good job that you can lease a vehicle. But I'm talking about you really have no money. If you have no money, you're going to try to make your vehicle last. If it needs extra tires or something, it's $800 for all 4 tires. I mean, to me, it's better to do that as long as you have a reliable vehicle. Now, there's a lot of American vehicles that people buy. I have a friend, she has a GMC SUV. I hate to say it, but that's the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen. And I actually drove one across the country. It was very comfortable and everything. But they just replaced $7,000 in catalytic converters on it because the thing would just not run. The catalytic converters were out. And they couldn't guarantee that the catalytic converters would run any better. They were told that there were 5 catalytic converters on that. And I'm always like, why don't you just buy a Japanese car? Buy a Japanese car. I mean, the Korean cars, they look really good. Ikea's, and they got really nice scripting on it. But I mean, I've had family members that have those, and just crazy things go wrong with it. It's just the quality of the build. I have a Mercedes, and it's not my car, it's my wife's car, but we got it from CarMax. I paid it off right away, and I'm just hoping to God I don't have to take it into the dealership, because it's a free-for-all when you take it into the dealership. I mean, it could cost literally anything. I remember when I bought it, you have to put the key inside the ignition and turn it, but they do make a button, and the button goes inside of the keyhole. And so now you can start it, by pushing a button. And so when I looked at it through Mercedes, they were saying that button was $550. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not buying that. And so then I went on eBay, and I saw that they're selling these buttons. I mean, they're not made by Mercedes, they're aftermarket ones. I don't know if they work or not, but they were like $20. I could buy like a ton load of those. So I said, well, I'll give it a try. So I went ahead and bought one, fit right inside the hole, started the car right up. And so that's how we run our car, is with that start button. It didn't come with the Mercedes. That was an extra on it. I bought it from CarMax, and I paid it off in the first year that I have it because I used CarMax financing. They offered to lease it to me. I'm like, I am not renting a car. Oh, no, we're not talking renting, we're talking leasing. I go, well, what's the difference between renting and leasing? They couldn't tell me there was any difference, except I would have had to pay a down payment. And that down payment is prepaid financing. That's what you're paying for. And with a Cybertruck, it's $7,500. So again, when we talk about how you can build wealth, part of it is your car. Your car is your second biggest investment, other than maybe a swimming pool, but after your house. And so a lot of people, they don't even have a house. They're renting, but yet they have a brand new car out there. And I've even seen some brand new Teslas in the apartment complexes around where I live. So it's almost more important to arrive in a Tesla than it is to think about buying a house. And then the really scary thing is that you're willing to take the equity out of your house, to take a loan on your house, and use that lended money that you're getting to use as a down payment to lease a vehicle. I mean, it's bizarre to me that people would do that, but I think it's just because they don't understand the ramifications. Like I said, $750 a month payment, lease, rent, is going to take you $1,000 to $1,200, depending on your tax rate, of gross income to net $750. And then you've got to pay higher insurance, and you don't want to go over the mileage. So for me, it's a lose situation. Buy a car, a good car, I would say Japanese car, go ahead and do a loan on it, so you're actually going to pay it off at some point, and then just keep that car running as long as you can. That's exactly what I do. That's what I suggest. So look into it. It's gonna, every month I go by and I don't have to make a car payment on any of my cars. I have no car payments. That's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. So come and join me, and let's get debt free. All right, thank you much, and have a great day.